our market unit Sweden business, and finally Marco heading our Finnish business as well. And together we will go through this report with you shortly and cover some of the key findings from the report itself. The agenda for today is a little bit a background on the cybersecurity itself, the key findings, which actually will be taking the majority of the time today, where we'll go through and reflect a bit about the results from the survey here in the room together, four of us. And also to that extent, even though I'll come back on the practicality soon, we would really like to have your questions and feedback today so we can get some kind of interaction in the end, even though we are kind of isolated in the studio today. Right, and with that said then, Gustav, if you can click on the presentation, please. Perfect. We also have Gustav, by the way, here behind the scenes, who will help us with the questions at the end. I forgot to mention that in the beginning. So he will actually do the voiceover of your questions once we get to that section. And to that point then, please send your comments as we go throughout the presentation. There is a technical possibility to put your questions there. We'll make sure that we cover as many as we can at the end of the presentation. And we have reserved some time for this at the end, as said. Right, a couple of words about Nixu as well. Who are we and what do we do before we get going into the results of the Cybersecurity Index? So Nixu is a pure play cybersecurity consultancy company. We were founded back in 1988 in Finland. And we have since 2014 been listed on the Nasdaq in Helsinki, and there we are still today. We have approximately 400 cybersecurity experts in our company, and we are located physically in 5 countries. That's Finland, Sweden, Denmark, the Netherlands, and Romania. Our market is a bit bigger than that. We are delivering our services to approximately 25 countries around the world, mainly in Europe. And our service portfolio covers everything within the cybersecurity space. So it's a really one-stop shop of cybersecurity services from that perspective. Good. Then let's get straight into the topic of today, which is the Cybersecurity Index 2022. We felt that there was an empty space when it comes to listening to our clients from a bigger perspective and conclude some views of how cybersecurity is seen today. So we defined and invented the Cybersecurity Index, which we now will come back to on an annual basis to see how the cybersecurity maturity is developing in Europe, which has been the target market for us when we have been doing these interviews. We have interviewed roughly 180 cybersecurity leaders, where we have asked them about different questions in 4 areas. One area being the current state. How is cybersecurity maturity and current state in the organizations today? How is management involved? That's the second area we've been asking. I mean, cybersecurity has been also getting more and more attention, of course, from a leadership perspective, going from being a technical topic now on the table of many executive teams and also on the table of many boards and board level question today. So we have asked about that, how that's working today. The third area is about financial investments. So how much are the different organizations investing in cybersecurity today? And also how is that planned to be, how are the future plan investments looking like as well, and how that development is happening. And the final area of topic that we've been covering is about capability. So the capabilities of tomorrow, what are the capabilities that our clients and the organizations out there are looking to develop as well in order to strengthen their cybersecurity posture of tomorrow? So that's kind of the background of the survey. And the index itself is something we defined. It's kind of a maturity score that you would get on a scale from 10 to 100. Don't ask me why it's not 0. I'm not. It's probably an engineered solution of the index itself, but the score is from 10 to 100, where the borderline between good and deficient when it comes to cybersecurity maturity is 65. And the total average result of our survey ended up on 67, as you can see on this slide, which means that the average maturity is barely reaching a good level according to this self-assessment that our customers and assessment answers have given us. There is, of course, differences from different capability areas and from a national perspective. And you can, for instance, see on this slide here that the cybersecurity maturity in Finland is actually much higher than it is in Sweden. And then if you look at the other countries that have been participating in the survey, the maturity is even higher. These are a couple of aspects that we will discuss here together with my colleagues in this panel of today. And then the key findings, we have here now 6 different key findings that we have lifted out from the result of the Cybersecurity Index survey that has been done and the self-assessment made by our customers. And we will now go through these one by one to hear more feedback from experts, some people who know a little bit more than me about the findings of the survey, and we'll try to have a dialogue around these results here now. The first result or key finding from the survey is that 39% of the assessed companies participating in the survey rate themselves as being on poor or deficient level when it comes to cybersecurity maturity. Isn't that kind of an alarming number? For me, that sounds very low, to be honest. So, Peter, you're heading our advisory services, meeting a lot of our customers on a daily basis and talking about, what they're doing to improve their cybersecurity posture and maturity. So, what's your takeaway on this?
Yeah, well, I can figure from experience and from talking to the customers that there are 2 main areas that I can see. First of all, it's sort of lack of systematic security work. So you make something once, you make a policy, and then you put it in front of a lot of people and they adhere to it, but then you don't develop it. One thing that is with cybersecurity is that it always develops, and the bad guys get worse every time. So you need to adapt, and you need to adapt quickly. And that's one thing that we don't see in such extent as we would like to see. Second thing is that security many times are run from IT, and you don't bite the hand that feeds you. so basically it becomes an IT question, and it really isn't. It's just a part of it. So IT are the ones that usually would have assignments from the security,
right.
But in that case, it's the other way around,
right.
And that also makes for a little bit, makes good for good IT security, but makes for poor information security.
Right. So basically, what you're saying is that lack of processes and continuous repetitive way of working with cybersecurity, and that cybersecurity is seen as a technical question more than a business-related question. Good. Any of you, Ursula, from your perspective, anything to add?
Yes, if you look at the Swedish numbers over there, you can see that it's very, very low, I would say.
Indeed.
If you compare to Finland and the other countries, I would say that we might be in Sweden a bit modest when we do the survey like this, or you don't put a 10 out of 10. You're a Swede, you put a 5 or maybe a 4. So I think that might be reflected in the numbers. I hope so, at least, because my feeling when I talk to the clients that we have, and we do it every day, I feel that we have a higher maturity than those numbers. So I feel
so a bit modesty in the.
Yeah, I think might be, because I feel that we are working a lot with the security questions right now, and we are a bit more. We have been very naive in Sweden. We don't see a threat. We haven't been in war for 200 years, as you used to say, and I think that will be some impact on how we react, because it will never hit us. We are Sweden, they don't want our business or company. We will walk away with the other ones will take the hit. And I can see that this, and you see it also, this is not the real world. So if we do this again in a year, I think we see other numbers here.
Okay. Well, I mean, Maybe we are less modest in Finland, and I don't know, but I
Yeah,
think
yeah,
the
yeah.
preparedness probably in Finland, like you
The
say,
preparedness,
might
I think
be
it's completely different.
a bit higher.
Yes.
Marco, would you agree, or what's your take?
Yeah, at least it's a new news to me that the Swedish are more modest than Finnish. So that is definitely something. But yeah, I was also kind of surprised when I saw the results that Finns are feeling that, or the Finnish companies are feeling that they are managing security capabilities better than Swedish are. So that at least was a surprise to me, because I feel we are really a modest nation. But I think I learned something new today. But on the other hand, kind of regarding the results, for sure, I think Finland, considering its geopolitical location and situation for not only now but decades back. So that might have an effect on the figures that are shown regarding the Finnish companies.
Yeah.
But also I kind of which makes sense to me, that all the capabilities that Finnish companies feel that they are managing well are more or less this kind of a traditional IT security.
Right.
If you look at its infrastructure security monitoring, identity access management, attack surfaces, vulnerability management, which are more or less the foundations, I would say.
Yeah.
It's good that those are managed well.
Right.
But on the other hand, kind of the more, I would say, maybe more advanced stuff like product security and threat intelligence are on the other hand are on the bottom end.
Yeah.
So there's still a lot of room to improve, so to speak. And I have also seen it and felt it that there's also increasing demand for that kind of services.
Oh, that's good. That's good to hear. And I totally agree with your comment of course also the preparedness from geopolitical perspective. And
Yeah.
Finland has more recently been in war than Sweden has,
Yeah.
like you also were mentioning, Ursula. So,
But
good.
one thing about this is that when you talk to people about security in general, people are very serious about it. So there's very large focus on it, and that's really positive. That's not either, I think, reflected in the numbers that we see here.
Right.
But it's quite important, and that's a feeling I get when we talk to the customers, that everybody takes it extremely seriously.
Right.
And as you said before, Peter, we look at it as a technical, it's an IT problem.
Yeah.
And for 5 or 10 years ago, when you had your projects running and you needed to get the security guys in and get a go, no go, it was like, oh, no. They are so, we skipped that. We just, we run ahead. So, and that's a completely different story right now. Because
it's a good comment. Let's hang on to that one. We'll come back to this when we talk a little bit about risk and business development.
Yes.
On the coming slides here. So if we move over to the second key finding then from the survey, which is about supply chain security, is the number one most important topic in cybersecurity for next year. If we look at the trends that we see in cybersecurity in general, this being one of them, if we start with you, Ursula, I mean, what's your take on the trends? Anything that surprises you, or is this kind of
the supply chain might surprise me a bit. We're coming to the next one. It was more general, I would say, but supply chain might be, but I understand it. We can see if you don't know where your risks are, and it's a huge risk if you don't have any clue of what your suppliers, what level they are in. And from the attacker perspective, they have a massive impact. It's quite easy to attack one, like we see in Sweden this week, and it get ripples on the water because you reach with one hit, you reach a lot of other targets.
Impact is much bigger.
Impact is
right?
much bigger, and it's not that much work.
Right. Right.
So if you don't have control of your suppliers, you might get hurt. So really important. But I can also see other topics here. If you look at the 12 months perspective, you have identity and access management.
Yes.
Very, very important.
Yeah.
And I feel that this is on the agenda. But as you said, we've talked about before, it's tough because we have different stakeholders, and you need to align with other operations in your company, with HR and other business units. So it's a bit tougher.
Once again, becoming more a business topic than a technology question,
Again.
right? Which is,
Again.
and I think that we see in cybersecurity maturity in general.
Yes.
So Marco, what's your thoughts?
I think it's quite natural that the supply chain security is seen as an important topic for the next 12 months.
Yeah.
If we look at like 2 years back regarding the business continuity, regarding the COVID, for example, how did you manage your supply chains regarding that kind of risks from business continuity point of view? And then now that war in Ukraine, once again, major disruption for many companies for their supply chains. But now we just need to add the security point of view as well. How you are able to identify your suppliers, how you are able to identify which suppliers are the most critical to you, and in the end, how are you able to kind of make sure that they are doing their homework regarding the security, which is if it's tricky for your own company, it's even more trickier for the suppliers you have. So, but you just need to set the requirements for the suppliers, and then if you are in such a negotiation position that you are able to set the requirements, and then also audit if they are following the requirements. But for sure, it's not an easy task.
No, and we can see that, right? I mean, supply chains being integrated today, right? And also the discussion of bringing back supply chain closer to your own control, so to say. So I think it's a very valid point.
And I think also we need to help each other here. You can just say the supply chain, you are not the supplier anymore because you don't reach a sufficient level. We might need to help as a buying company.
Absolutely.
With this. So
it's in your interest, of course, as a buying company to making sure that
so this is not this I think we need to help each other.
Yeah, and then I have also seen kind of maybe already a bit earlier that companies are focusing on the suppliers as well. We have been building requirements for their suppliers and so on, setting the standards, so to speak.
Yeah.
So we are getting there, I would say. But on the other hand, it's also a commercial part, kind of because whatever is required, then it comes also a matter of commercial discussions as well, and then it's difficult to open maybe long-term agreements and so on.
But there's a cost on the other end as well if you don't manage your cybersecurity well. So I mean, so it is, of course, taking that into account.
Yep.
Peter, any? Yeah, sorry.
Yeah.
Go ahead, please.
Sure. I mean, there is a really good example on where a whole line of business have been taking security very seriously, and that's German car industry have a standard that they developed together with an institute, ISA VDI, to create a control set for their suppliers. So basically, every supplier that wants to make serious business with a car cluster in Germany needs to adhere to that standard, and it's basically an ISO 27001 plus a lot of extra controls to handle different kind of security situation, and they are sort of they can certify companies, and they work with audits, and they do quite a lot of things. And I think we will see quite a lot more of this for different kind of lines of business. So I would predict that we will get one for retail, we will get one for telco, we will get one for insurance, we will get one for utilities, and we'd really like to be a part of developing those standards, because if you want to keep your supply chain in check, you need something like this.
But Peter, then for a novice guy like myself, and why would you need? It's an interesting topic. Why would you need different standards for different verticals? I mean, when I think about cybersecurity, shouldn't cybersecurity be kind of seen as the same way regardless of vertical? Can you elaborate?
Yeah, again, an example from TISAX. They have standards for how you should secure models and drawings from that they do for development of cars and parts of cars. And I would say there are similar specialities for retail and similar specialities for other things as well.
Okay, so there is actually a difference in industries from a cybersecurity perspective that needs to be taken into account in different standards.
Absolutely, and there's also, from geopolitical point of view, risks for physical damage might be higher in certain countries than it is in others. So you have, if you have a standard that's basically for Europe, you would probably not be regarding threats like demonstrations and stuff, or riots that high. But if you are in other parts of the world, you might be taking that into account. And for a company like H&M, for example, I would say having stores in areas where there is unrest, they would probably need to take that into account.
Of course,
security quite a lot more.
Absolutely.
So there are differences, yes.
Good, interesting. It's going to be interesting to see the development of those different industries, I would say, as well, moving ahead, and how that will kind of impact the whole cybersecurity market. Good. So if we move on to the next finding in our cybersecurity index and our survey, right? Awareness, right? I'm personally very happy to see that awareness still is kind of on the top of importance, I would say, when it comes to what our clients are investing in. I usually say myself, it's only a click away, unfortunately, right? A bad incident. And yeah, about different critical capabilities then. We did the survey, we asked our customers which capabilities are most critical for you, and where do you plan to invest most for the future? And here's kind of the answer. Marco, if I start with you, any takeaways from this?
Yeah, for sure. I'm happy as well to see the awareness on the top, so to speak, being one of being the most critical capability. But also at the same time, it's one of the capabilities that there's most to improve, so to speak. So most likely there will be more investment toward the awareness solutions and services. And luckily nowadays there are good solutions and services that are able to kind of cover the whole organization and from different point of view, different kind of micro learnings and so on. So that is very good news. I feel that as well. But on the other hand, I'm a bit surprised that the product security, for example, is on the bottom, which is sad. And then maybe also linking that to the supply chain.
Exactly my thought as well.
So I'm pretty sure that within a couple of years that won't be in the bottom, because for sure there will be pressure from the companies to improve the product security as well, so that they are able to kind of be sure that their business is safe.
Yeah.
So I'm expecting to see that climbing up in the future years.
And don't you think also, just continue to build on what you said, that we as consumers would expect that, if we buy gadgets, phones, whatever, we would expect then, that the security to be on top-notch level, right? Otherwise, the brand will suffer and we will not buy it.
Yeah, but at the same time, I guess there isn't yet enough demand from our side as a consumers, but also on a company level for the suppliers, to kind of be able to showcase the security maturity. So,
and I think we as a consumer, we assume, and we don't have the knowledge, so we assume that this is safe.
But we can see also the impact, right? I mean, if we take a very concrete example from Sweden last year with, when Coop was hit, not Coop was hit, but once again in their supply chain, they were hit, right? And bringing all, the payment capabilities of the shops down, right? And what an impact that has on society, right? You can't go grocery shopping, right? Or it took a while until they got, different payment options going as well. So, this is, like you're saying, it's critical, right? And as a consumer, I mean, these incidents raise our awareness, right? And hopefully we'll put also demand on the different products that we use, that security is top notch, right? Good. Peter, any comment on the capabilities from your perspective?
Yeah, I'm a bit surprised about one of the results, and that's the risk management, the low score for risk management. to me, when we talk to our customers, we always tell them that risk management is the foundation for being able to make the right decisions when it comes to cybersecurity. Where are you going to put your money? Where do they have most effect? And for that, you need proper risk management, and you also need proper risk management over time, because that's really important. And considering the NIS2 directive mandates risk management, I hope and think and believe that this score will go much higher during next year when we measure. But I'm happy also to see that both detection and incident response are on this list and higher than risk management, because they are also mandated by NIS2 directive.
Maybe it's good that you're bringing NIS2 up here as well, Peter. Can you shortly, briefly open up a little bit about NIS2 and what's kind of coming with NIS2 that will kind of increase maturity in general when it comes to cybersecurity? A couple of points.
Yeah, a couple of points. Okay, so basically what NIS2 does is to try to set a low or a bar for cybersecurity with a large number of corporations and companies and authorities in Europe. And not only in Europe, it works a bit like GDPR. Also, the companies you make business with outside Europe are mandated by the same rule set, and also your subcontractors and suppliers. So that's one part. The other part is that you include a lot of new kinds of businesses. So I was surprised to see garbage collectors in there, but sanity companies are also included as a part, and the requirements are quite highly elevated from the NIS1 directive. The second thing is that, or the third thing really is that, as I said, there's a lot of new things that are mandated. So risk management are mandated, incident response and detection are mandated. So you need to be able not only to have those functions and working within the company, but you also need to be able to prove that you have them. Right. And that's kind of interesting, because what that basically means is that you have to have some kind of structured way of working with cybersecurity. And one of the hardest points I found when I read it was that they lowered the time for reporting to the authorities from 72 hours to 12 hours.
Wow.
No, 24
hours.
24 hours, sorry. Sorry for that.
That's...
But that basically means that you have to collect data for the report in real time, all the time.
Right.
And you have to automate the reporting.
Yes.
And I wonder how many companies out there today have the capability to do that. I hope there are many, but I'm not so sure. So that's basically the highlights that I've found so far. But what it will mean that, like with GDPR, companies will have to take a closer look at their security work, and not only from a technological perspective, but also from management and framework perspective.
And exactly, that was my key takeaway from your summary, was exactly the fact that it becomes more business driven than technology driven, right? And I think that is what we will see. I think in general, when maturity now is rising with cyber security.
But if you look at the number 2 and 3 in this diagram, you can also, as you just mentioned, you can see that you are moving from being reactive to be much more proactive with the vulnerability scanning and with the incident responses.
Yeah.
So
there's a shift
there's
left,
a shift
kind of,
exactly.
okay.
Yes.
That's
my feeling, at least when I talk to
conclusion.
the clients out there.
Excellent. Good.
So
good. Let's see. I mean, good conclusions. Thanks for the remarks on capabilities. And if we then move on to the fourth key finding in our report, which is about how to actually spend the budgets and the money you have on cybersecurity. And if we then look at the finding of 26% of all the organizations that we have interviewed or who have made the self-assessment, they say that they are not spending their budgets in an efficient way. So every fourth company is saying that they're not spending their cybersecurity investments in a good way. Isn't that kind of also scary in one way, that you don't know how you're spending your funds? But why is this? Mark? What do you think?
For sure, it's scary, but at the same time, I think it also makes sense if you look at kind of when we had to look at the capabilities that are managed well.
Yeah.
And on the bottom, I think it was the second lowest overall was the risk management,
right,
which isn't managed well.
Yes.
So from that point of view, how are you supposed to be able to spend your money efficiently if you are not able to do the risk management well?
Yeah.
So if you are not able to identify the business risks,
right,
how are you able then to be efficiently spend your money?
So basically, you don't know really. That's what you're saying. I mean,
then
it's a black hole kind of.
Then you are just doing best guesses, and that's actually not the best way to do it. So.
No, exactly. That's true.
I fully agree with you here.
So any other additional comments, Ursula? Have you had any other?
I really agree what you said, Marco. I think that's, you need to know what risk you're up to.
Right.
And if you don't know that, it's impossible to know where to spend your money.
Isn't there also maybe of course a maturity. I mean, you're into it, but not knowing your risks. That of course then you don't know how to spend your funds, right? But isn't there another thing which is the immaturity of cybersecurity in general? I mean, from a technical perspective, also it's a very new area, I would say, compared to many other technical IT spaces that we've had, right? Isn't that also a question? What kind of technical setup should I have in my organization to be as safe as possible, right? And we see technologies developing every day, new technologies popping up, and the life cycle of technology is very, very short, as I see as well. I mean, any takes on that?
Yeah, if you want to go to the quantum and have the best ever, then it's you can have it, but if you don't know the risk,
right,
or what the business need, it doesn't matter
right,
how fancy stuff you have in the
right,
back.
right.
So
yeah.
Peter, any?
Yeah, I mean, I totally agree with you all about risk assessment and that you need to manage your risk properly, because I always say it's good to know what problem to solve before you try to solve it. That's sort of something that's self-evident, but not always anyway when we discuss with people about this, and technology is only sort of a part of a solution. You can't really solve all of it by adding technology, because as I said to a couple of customers, if you have this box standing in the corner and there's a red light flashing on it, what do? And you get to the point where they say, I call IT, but who do you call when all the cash registers in your business goes down and you have to take a decision on closing your stores? Who do you call then? And that's one thing you need to figure out beforehand it's happened. And that you do by having risk assessment and threat assessment and risk management. So it's really, really important.
Right.
And I think that in a maturity level, you have sort of two ways of handling your investments when it comes to cybersecurity. First of all, best practice. And second of all, by actually solving and mitigating the risks that you have.
Right.
And best practice probably works a bit as well, but it becomes really much more expensive.
Right. No, that's true. Very good. I agree with you. I had to put on my glasses just to check actually if we turn the question around in our survey, because now all the viewers can of course see also the result here of the survey. We can say that 16%, only 16% are certain that they have optimized the spending in cybersecurity, which is also, if you turn the question around, it's a very low number as well, I would say, right? I guess that maturity, when it comes, it will also raise these numbers, obviously then.
Yeah, and I also feel kind of one reason behind that might be why companies feel that they are not able to spend the money efficiently is that usually the business risks are managed on the business side.
Yeah.
And then the kind of the security risks has been under the CIO office.
Yes.
And then, but nowadays I really feel that the understanding is increasing, because the cyber risk are business risk as well, and then those two needs to come together.
Right.
And then I'm also quite hopeful that will change in the future.
So you absolutely agree with you, and what you're saying is that cybersecurity risks should be treated as an enterprise risk, not as a technology risk.
Yeah, exactly.
It's a very good remark, and I think that the companies doing that are on the right path, so to say. Right?
For sure.
Then if you are having merger and acquisitions, you have in the due diligence some aspect of cybersecurity.
Absolutely. Good point. Very good point.
That's one thing. I can see it's moving in that direction in some areas and some clients, but we need to do more, not to get the shit in. No.
Yeah, that's good. Well, put it like that. That's actually the truth.
Yeah, that's the truth.
Good to put it that way.
No.
Right. Just to the viewers out there, just a reminder, please. I mean, we are soon going to get back to the questions from you. Hopefully, a lot of questions that we can add to the dialogue that we've been having here in the room. We have a couple of more slides that we're going to take you through before we open up for your comments and questions. So, if we then move on to, let me see now, Gustav, you need to help me with the slides again. Thank you. If we then move on to the last key finding from our survey, is about quality. And that organizations and the cybersecurity leaders that we have now been interviewing, they value quality much higher than price when it comes to also selecting who to work with and the expenditure, so to say, in the cybersecurity area. Is there anything that sticks out from this? Are you surprised, or is this aligned with what you see? Maybe we start with the market dimension. Marco, Ursula, any one of you. Does it resonate with you?
Yeah, I'm not too surprised. Naturally, kind of you won't get the best experts with the lowest price. That goes without saying. But also, kind of, I feel that companies are more and more understanding the criticality of the cybersecurity,
Right.
because it's as I said, it's also business risk. So if you are not able to invest on it and you are not able to improve your maturity, then you can take a huge business risk as well.
Right.
So
Right.
you need to spend certain money on it.
Right.
But for sure, it is also comes to finding the right balance. What is the kind of a sufficient expertise, and then what is then the right cost? And then because nowadays I guess many companies are struggling also regarding their unclarity of the future, and then maybe pressure to cut costs and then so on.
Right.
But in the end, I feel it's important to kind of to understand the big picture, not just to try to optimize certain parts of it.
Right. Fully agree to that. Any additions?
No, I think in the level of expertise, but look at good enough level to start with.
Right.
Maybe don't need to aim for
Right.
the most expensive solution. It might be good enough with to start with something else. But one thing also we discussed yesterday is this customized services. I thought it would be more highly valued with the customized services than it is. And it's,
okay. All right. So that surprises you from the
that's
results.
surprising.
Okay. Right. Exactly.
Yeah, but on the other hand, I had a meeting with one of our clients, which is a big enterprise in Finland, and then they are always saying we are no special. We are pretty much like any other company. We want the standard services, because that way we are confident that we will get the best value for our money. You know what you are doing when you are following your standard services. So and that is a very, very valid point.
Yeah. But is there a standard service? Then is the question, I mean, in such a kind of still immature market, but
when it comes to kind of the managed services, when we have a lot of clients, and then the kind of for sure there are some kind of maybe a slightly different ways of doing things, but kind of the core service needs to be more or less standard, but because otherwise you are customizing everything, and then there's a huge possibility for errors.
Right. True.
You can maybe customize for an industry or a segment, but not for each one of us.
Because I'm thinking about what Peter just talked about when it comes to the verticals and the segments and the new standards coming up from a vertical perspective. I mean, is there an opportunity here to also standardize services based on the standards that are developing from an industrial perspective, do you think?
Yeah, most likely there are, I would say. All kinds of services like we deliver goes through phases where more things get commoditized.
Of course.
And now, I mean for advisory business, we do quite a lot of bespoke things. So customers come to us and say, okay, we have this issue that we want to solve, and then we see a standard solution, and then we start talking about the standard solution, and then they say, okay, let's move a little bit away from that and focus on a certain part, or add something that we don't have in the standard solution and such. So from our point of view, we come with a toolbox and a good set of heads,
right,
and help our customers by that. But quite a lot of what we do, especially when we maintain different kinds of solutions that we deliver, could probably be automated to a higher degree than they are today. And look at Microsoft, for example. We see that happening already when it comes to the GRC side of our business. And I really hope it will become more automation there as well. So yes, we probably see more productized areas even in advisory moving forward.
Right. So technology will also help maturing, both process and capability development in the cybersecurity industry.
Yeah, I would say yes.
Good, very good. Any final conclusions on this specific topic before we move on?
Not really.
No. No.
No, not really. Okay.
Quality? No.
Maybe we maybe we start to round off then. First of all, thank you for good insights, in discussing in the panel here about the conclusions from our cybersecurity index. And if we then try to summarize a little bit about what we have discussed, some key takeaways also from the survey is that, for instance, if we talk about ransomware, it's best fought by combining technical measures with security awareness. And we talked about that, right? You could have the best technology in place, but if you don't know how to use it, or if you don't have the awareness, or if you don't work with change management in the company, it does no good, right? Anything more to add on this that we haven't said on the first conclusion and takeaway here?
Well, I guess for sure you need technology. It's a massive help on many ways and in many things. But in the end, it's the human factor that comes into play, because those need to be managed, and then also as we discussed regarding the awareness, it's a crucial part of the security. So
yeah,
we need both. We need the tech, but we also need to have the people that are aware of the risks.
Absolutely, very good point. Any more additions before on the first topic?
I think also be aware that whatever you do, that's never going to be 100%.
No.
So you must take other measures as well behind the scenes to be able to do recovery and continue your business and stuff like that. So it's really important to remember that part as well.
Ursula, any?
No,
you're fine.
Said
it all.
Said it all. Not at all, but.
Okay, we move over to the second key takeaway here. Risk-based decisions help ensure effective cybersecurity management and spending. Right? We've been talking about risk management that, in general, it's seen as a low maturity, and surprisingly also low when it comes to investments for the future when we looked at the key capabilities, right? And well, if a key takeaway is that risk-based decisions should help ensure effective cybersecurity management, this is a bit contradictory then, and that you need high risk management capability in order to do this, right? So how to overcome this gap that we see from the report compared to what needs to be done on risk management? How to raise the bar on risk management and the capabilities around risk management?
Well, I think actually Nixu will help us a little bit with that. I'm back on that part, because that mandates risk-based decisions basically, and I think that will help people motivate spending time and spending money on being more efficient when it comes to this kind of thing. And I think after you do it, it will be something that self-enhance or be self-enhanced and help companies with being wiser what they spend back to. You need to know the problem before you try to solve it.
True. Yeah. True that.
But yeah, I kind of feel that because in order to make the risk-based decisions, IT need to talk to the business.
Yes.
And then those, I really feel that those are coming together nowadays. The business understands the cybersecurity risks, and then they are asking support. And on the other hand, kind of nowadays in many companies, the business is responsible of the cybersecurity risk as well. So they have the attention now. So now we just need to find a way to speak the same language and find the right solutions for them.
I think it's spot on. Move the discussion in the companies from the CIO table to the CEO table when it comes to handling risk as cybersecurity as any other risk of the company, like we talked about as well. Then we'll move over to the final takeaway before we will take the questions from the audience here. And I hope, Gustav, you're getting ready behind the scene there with those ones. Geopolitical developments increase the need for comprehensive cybersecurity thinking. And, we have, unfortunately, a very negative geopolitical development in many parts of the world, right? But if we elaborate a little bit about this key takeaway, Peter, how would you elaborate on this takeaway?
Well, many things can be said, but I'm getting back a little bit to the supply chain issue. We saw one big container ship run ashore in the Suez Canal, and that got sort of ripples on the whole world market. You couldn't get your goods through, and I mean, what could happen if there becomes a large conflict? Let's say, for example, that something happened with Taiwan, China, then the supply of components for the industry, regardless of what you put the components in, will take a massive hit. And that's one other example of things that can happen that will really affect markets everywhere and basically all companies everywhere. So I don't like what's happening. I really hope that somebody gets sane soon, but
let's hope that.
Let's hope that.
That's a good concluding remark. Any final words from?
Yeah, but we see, as what we see in the news and everything, we all know that this is just the tip of an iceberg.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, I will not see that this will decrease. It will be a massive attack on all the countries around the world, like a tsunami wave. So I don't think we can isolate ourselves and see, I'm just looking at my business,
right,
and my corporation or because I think we need to collaborate much more, learn from each other, learn from mistakes, because we are number two on the every time. We need, because we are defending ourselves, so we need to defend in a more structured and collaborating way, I think.
Okay,
yeah.
That's a good point. Very good. Marco, any final comment from you?
Yeah, I really feel kind of the latest crisis kind of push us forward. I believe that quite often the development comes through crises, and then I think even though these crises are so unfortunate, but now we just to make the best out of it, so to speak.
Yeah.
Now we need to step up and understand the cybersecurity and the business risks more in a more holistic way, and be more mature in the future, and improve our security posture from this point of view as well.
Step up cybersecurity, improve maturity. Great segue and final comment, Marco, from this section of the presentation. And I want to thank you all for sharing your great input and information about where we stand with cybersecurity now, and a good discussion. But now we have some time left over actually for questions from the audience. And Gustav, can you help us maybe take the first one?
Thanks, Teemu. Hello to the audience, Gustav here. Thanks for your questions so far. We actually received a question about the presentation and the report, and if it's going to be available afterwards. And I can say that you will receive the report and also the recording of this session afterwards. And then, if we move on with the questions. So, what are your tips for getting business leaders to understand that security is not just an IT issue? You've already been discussing this a bit, but please.
But I think that there's a twist in that question that we actually have not discussed. Yes, we've said the awareness that it needs to move from technology to business, but how do you do it? I think that's the twist in the question. Peter, you work with advisory on a daily basis. How do you actually do it?
Yeah, I get back to risk management again, because as you said, Marco, business risks and cybersecurity should definitely be integrated. And I found that a good vessel for communication with management is risk, because if you monetize that, you can understand it. So if you have a risk that monetizes to a lot of money, then it's easy to understand that you have to mitigate it, and so that's a good way of communicating with management concerning cybersecurity, I would say.
So and usually risk management resides with CFO in the companies, right? So CIO need to kind of hook up with CFO in order to make sure that you bridge the cybersecurity risks into enterprise risks. That's kind of one concrete tip of how to make it happen.
Yeah, and definitely, and also it's a maturity level that you have to reach,
right? Because
first you have them separately, but you need to have them separated to be able to define them properly.
Yes.
And then once you've done that, you can start communicating the way you said, Marco, to put them together and to understand them as enterprise risks instead of cybersecurity and financial risks. So but that's a maturity. It takes a little bit of time, but it's definitely possible.
But there we have a concrete tip of how to get started. If you need help, we're here to support you on that journey, obviously, right?
Yep.
Any other additional comments, Marco, Ursula, on this question?
No, no, just start with the business perspective of things.
Very good. Gustav, do we have any more questions for us?
Of course. So second one, the use of the cybersecurity budget also depends on heavily on resourcing. Money is not spent because there are no actors. Companies should focus more on cybersecurity resourcing. How to solve this?
Oh, first of all, extremely valid question. I mean, I read a report quite recently here, just in the country of Sweden, we are lacking 70,000, seasoned cybersecurity experts. So yeah, how do we solve this? I mean, what's the best way of solving the people part of cybersecurity?
That's the million-dollar question,
Yes,
I think.
Yeah.
But I think the university education, they need to step up also because they lag behind. We have maybe 80 seats every year for cybersecurity specialist education. And we lack 70,000. And our responsibility also that we have training programs. We can develop or educate people. So we have a responsibility as a company, Nixu, and also the society. From the education perspective, we need to step up.
But isn't this that we need to do it together? Isn't that the trick, right? Have a
trick.
joint kind of Swedish Nordic plan on how to raise the capabilities around. Very good, excellent.
Yeah,
Peter?
yeah. I think it's also at our responsibility in being in the business to make it interesting for people.
Yes.
To make it appealing to the people who wants to work with it. And I think that's one thing we have been discussing doing is adding people with other kinds of skill sets than cybersecurity. So maybe procurement skill set or supply chain skill sets to our team to be able to advise on a little bit more than cybersecurity as such. And that will also get people who maybe are not expert in cybersecurity today to be interested in the question and maybe turn their career a little bit our way, which is quite good.
So actually take the capabilities from other competence areas and so you have that angle on cybersecurity in there. Very good point.
Yeah. And for sure, those kind of things need to happen on many different levels in order to kind of even to be able to keep the gap as it is at the moment regarding the need and available resources. But for sure, yeah, there's no short-term kind of a solution for that. But in kind of what are you supposed to do then at the moment? I guess that the key is to kind of being able to identify what are the key capabilities, that the core capabilities from security point of view that you need to have within your company.
Right.
Just keep them within your company, and then all the else just find a reliable, trusted partner for you to take care of it.
Very good point, right? And there you can have the economies of scale, right?
Yeah,
and you can scale people in a different way, right? That's a very good point, Marco. Thank you for that. Great. Thank you for your comments on that, Gustav. Do we have more?
Yes, we continue. Do you think security awareness still covers the topic correctly, or does the industry needs to change the name into something like managing human risk or IT security behavior management? What is the panel's opinion on this?
Peter, it sounds like a perfect question and segue to start with you. Actually, what's your view on this one?
Well, you can cover a lot with the term awareness, and probably it will be modified and more specialized moving forward. I said something like awareness is cyber or awareness is endpoint detection, endpoint security in real life, and you got to figure it. I think you got to define it a little bit like that, because it's not only about IT, it's about behavior, human behavior, and there's a lot of disciplines going into it. So the people we have working with this in our organization are people with from the humanities I don't know what it's called, but from like sociologists and communication people and such. So yeah, maybe moving forward you will divide it into more, but I think awareness is quite good for the time being as well.
Yeah, I would say it's kind of a good umbrella word for it.
Yeah.
I think, and also it's maybe a bit more humane than the other kind of proposed definitions. So I would stick with the awareness as well, and then but also it's I guess it kind of a, to me it sounds like it's a kind of a soft skill, but in the end it's very hardcore skill from company point of view. So, but yeah, hard.
And we use the word cybersecurity. That's also quite narrow definition of what we are facing, because we are facing to secure the digitalization in the society, in our own company or whatever, and we just say cybersecurity. And I think that's if you secure the internet, but it's so much more to it.
And personally, I like simplification and analogies. I see it like a driving license, right? Isn't it that we should all have a driving license on how to behave on the internet, right? You need to have some basic skills and what to think about when you kind of are acting on the internet, basically. And a driving license to be able to use the corporate network and corporate assets to kind of be secure on the internet. Good, thank you. Good feedback. Gustav, do we have more?
Well, we are starting to run out of time. 4 minutes left, but we can actually squeeze in one more question.
Perfect.
So we discussed, or one of the findings was that companies they are spending their cybersecurity budget in an efficient way. But where would you advise organizations, companies to start to become more efficient with their spending?
Good. I mean, yeah, we concluded that it's not, or actually our customers concluded that they're not spending it well. But what would be, Marco, if we start with you, what would be your recommendation in what's the first step in spending your cybersecurity money in a good way?
Yeah, I guess we already at least on some level touched that. I guess it comes to the understanding the business risks, and then what are the kind of threats that we are trying to protect us against.
Yeah.
And then it comes to kind of what are then the means and measures and ways to do it. So I think that is the only way to be able to spend the money efficiently.
Good. Any addition, Peter, Ursula?
No, if you look at it as from a IT perspective or a CISO or CIO perspective, you're going to support the business.
Right. Of course.
Yeah,
Always, yeah.
not the other way around.
I absolutely agree.
So start to think in different ways, maybe.
So basically what Marco said as well, business risk related.
Business risk.
Peter, any additional final comments on this one?
Risk.
Yeah, business. Now, it's a matter of prioritization. So you need to know what to prioritize. And again, back to you need to know what problems you have to solve before you start to solving them. And prioritization is really important when it comes to you can't do everything. That's too expensive. And even if you could, why would you want to?
But everybody can do something.
Everybody can do something.
Yeah, exactly.
And trying to figure out what's the right thing to do is probably the best discipline you can get into a company. And that you would do by risk management, I would say.
Perfect. Well, thank you all. We're getting to the end of this show here today. I really want to thank my colleagues and panelists, Peter, Ursula, Marco, for great discussions, and Gustav in the back for helping us with the questions as well. So all of you who have been attending, like Gustav said, you will get the content, you will get the report, and so that will be distributed to you later on as well. But with that then, thanks for sharing. Thanks for being here today. Stay safe in cyberspace and have a good rest of the day. Bye for now.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.